Morning. Good morning, everybody. Namaskar. This is Engineer Suraj Singh speaking from Bharat, India on this day, September 4, 2021, Saturday. Last video also broke, so it is now fourth one. I'm sorry to say. I don't know what Airtel is doing. Well, every time to say that doesn't work. It's question of quality safety. I'm talking of quality and safety in this talk, and this is civil engineering, life quality, AnnexSL COVID-19, SHE, engineers role designs, construction, methods, contracts, organizations, communications, coordinations, and you can say why behind quality of standard materials and works. Every time we talk of quality, we talk of safety, because we know we cannot move without that. Quality is life, quality is everywhere. It should be everywhere. It's not everywhere, exactly speaking. I'm not finding it anywhere in my country as well as all over the world, you can say. There's been deterioration of quality system. There may be many reasons for that, but I'm not concerned with those reasons. I'm concerned with requirement of quality, application of quality, and upkeep of safety. It's required everywhere. I explained it a lot. I'm just jumping on to talk of inspections and safety. That is also very important point. Said that leadership and administration we talked, management training we talked, project health and safety rules we talked, health control programs we talked, personal protective equipment we did, and communications and meetings, health and safety promotion, employees training, purchase control, material management organization, work equipment management, contractors control, emergency preparedness, fire prevention, risk assessments, procedure and method statements, incident reporting, investigations, documentations, record resources, program monitoring, surveillance. Now, we should talk little in details as well before. Details, and that is, let's take procedures and method statements. It's not new term because, in fact, method is supreme for purpose of doing something. Means even when student studies, students has to write essay, has to understand poetries, has to do mathematics, and to do all that, one has to chart out timetable. We call it table, school's timetable. We have to go through that, and we have to follow that. It's a very important point. Everybody follows that. And that timetable, or we call that schedule you can call it, or in British English it's called schedule. That is a kind of device which a student uses. Now here when we work in profession, we have also some device, and we chart out our work, and within this chart timetable you can say, or we plan something every day, day-to-day planning we can say, or weekly planning, or you can say monthly planning, or planning among planning like activity planning. We can plan many activities for one day. For example, when I used to work in sites, because we have to follow some schedule, some plan. There's no other way. You have to follow some Gantt chart or some other planning method. And we define ourselves, we decide ourselves, this is our way. But that is gross, means from this date to this date, we will do this. But that's not particular. Because you are on site, you are on work, you are in manufacturing, wherever you are much more knowledgeable about what goes on than that person who sits remote and decides. You, of course, are able to give input to that person, and that person requires your input. But that is only feedback. What actually happens, only a person who works knows. Same way, what you have to do on your site, when you do some activity, it's you who knows much more better than somebody else who can advise you. Yes, in principle, in scheme, you can get advice, and somebody has responsibility to advise. Now, advice or requirement is that you know only by speech or it's by documentation. Though speech is also documentation, it can be. But what we have to say, some clearly written text is required for doing something, and that text should be known to all who are involved on that work. It's not simply writing, technical writing means whatever work you are going to do, all those sequences must be written, must be linked, and must be well understood. No superfluous statement should be there, no deficient statement should be there. That should be properly per requirements. And only that person can write who knows that job. Yes, there are people from various divisions because on direct work we deploy construction people, those who have got experience in real construction or mechanical work on site. They have to do directly, but maybe they are not sure for something, and that unknown, or you can say that direction, should come from those experts who got it. For example, safety requirement, it should be consulted if it's very specific task with safety personnel, safety responsible officers, and if it's very specific quality work, it should be consulted with, or you can say quality people should give their feedback to you are working. It may be quality input, it may be safety input, or it may be some other testing input, though testing is a part of quality. You can say that is written in sequence in that on that document which we generally name method statements or procedures, which contain scope of work, which contain references like which documents we are going to use. For example, you can say this drawing or this part of project specification or this part of general specification or this material that has been approved from this vendor, and also quantity of that material required, and you can say what strength of people are required, what you can say are technical checks, safety checks, or what other precautions we have to include, and you can say also procedure that we have to adopt or method we have to adopt, sequences of that. It's very particular then which equipment we are going to use, or you can say which statement should contain that. This can be a reference document also, and that reference can be included. Likewise, you can say safety reference can also be there. It's not necessary that you every time write safety. You can chart out safety plan or safety responsibilities. You can chart out, you can say technical responsibilities, and those can be referred to because those are also available. So what I mean to say, method statement should be in such a structured way that nothing is left, and if something is left, that must be subject to correction, instant correction, without causing impact on quality and safety. Safety is very much integral part of method statement, and quality is also very much integral part. Yes, there can be differences in timings. You plan for something, you write that time, then you can say, okay, not exact hours, but we can say hours in numbers. This activity may take 8 hours, this activity may 20 hours, this activity may take 3 days. It depends. For example, for concrete activities, it generally goes on for days also. At least 12 hours or 10 hours are very, very normal for concrete activity, concrete pouring activity. Very, very small foundation which having maybe 500 cubic meter or 1000 cubic meter can take 2 days, 1 day, depending on 10 hours, 12 hours. Very draft foundation, big draft foundation can take 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. So it must be taken great care. Method statement is not a joke. It's not some formality. It's something you are going to do. This means it is expenses, real expenses on works. So your procedures, your method should be explicitly crystal clear. No ambiguity is allowed. And it should be approved by everyone who writes it, who forwards it, who authorizes it, and then who examines it. And ultimately, it's called a kind of technical agreement, working agreement, that parties involved, those are construction people, quality people, consulting people, and whosoever could be involved, all agree in essence that this is right statement. You follow it until there is something unhealthy on quality and safety. So we have to be very careful as professional engineers, as high profile engineers, elevated engineers, that work should be done according to quality. It should not be only in speaking or on method statement, it should be in reality. I know there always remains discrepancy, disparity between what we do and what we speak of. Some people just like they speak something to that person. And if that is not given, that can be given only when a person is responsible, say a junior engineer or site engineer or higher, that person has to pass that information in logical way to a person who works on site. And if that is not done, then meaning of method statement, meaning of such document goes away. It becomes meaningless. It becomes only a piece of document and nothing else. So it's violation of provisions, violation of procedures. One should not violate. Okay, you are not able to do 100%. You can see how many percent you can do. You can, if you want certain concession on that, even after you have got it done, you have reported it, then that concession should be conferred with all those on site itself. No need of having a meeting that this is possible, this is understand how to do that, how to make a plan for that. And method statement is also called a plan. Plan to do some activity. And there are so many method statements written. Maybe people are not clear, but these are written in either form, in particular form, in general form, in routine form, and even sometimes you do not write, then it should be in other medium. It should be conferred or discussed or something like that. But on major projects where profession dominates, professional ethics dominates, and for which payment is made, then in some cases method statement is also included. Where is your method statement? Because that method statements can become a part of dossiers, technical dossiers. So my dear, it's very important part. I'm not just passing verbatim, I'm saying Method statement is part of construction, it's part of quality, it's part of safety, it's part of real working, and it's a part of confidence. When we write something in advance, what we are going to do, and that shall be reviewed by your peers. This means your peers agree, and this means everybody knows what shall happen, how shall this work be done. That is real importance in quality system. Because if we know what we have to do in advance, and that everybody considers, okay, fine, this is agreeable, and we do that, in fact, we implement that, we apply that, automatically quality comes into play because we agreed with that standard, with that quality limit, and we do that. We carry out that, and that is real important. Means you can say that successfully this activity has been done. That can be said because our limit was this. What we accepted on contract, what we accepted on technical ground, what we accepted on site. Everybody, there is no concealing, there is no hidden work, and it has been done according to agreement provisions, contract provisions, and you can say, you can equate it to quality achievement. That achievement is very important. There can be long discussion on method statements because method statement is not one, not two, there are many. Methods can be for activity, methods can be for standards, methods can be for how to run a system, methods can be for how to design, methods can be for whatever discipline or sub-discipline we work in. How to procure, how to inspect, how to construct. It is not one, it's not two, and it is procedure, a written procedure in sequence so that everybody can read it, and generally these documents, professional statements, are also named professional documents. And once these are agreed and effected, this becomes part of dossiers, part of history, and in future also it would help you on repetition of same activity. It becomes a reference asset or reference document for your organization and for everyone who is involved. Then we go to incident reporting investigation. Incident reporting. Yes, generally it is safety incident. Violation of safety, ignorance of safety, if you can't call it violation. Generally incidents happen because of ignorance, because of lack of care, because of loss of concentration, or because of forgetting precautionary measures. And there are reasons that one who works becomes tired and maybe cannot think that much, and supervisor cannot be available all time, safety officer cannot also be available all time to look after one person or a group of persons. It's only visits that can be conducted, reports can be referred. Main responsibility goes to those who work. Directly, those who work, who are called workforce or workers, they should know what they have to do. And that is only reason that every day or every alternate days incidents. That talk is important, and that is called daily talk for keeping yourself safe or workers safe. But if something happens, despite all this, despite all these measures we take, and if it happens, if incident happens, bad incident, people are injured, and there can be whatever else. If it happens, what to do? That's the point. People work and something happens against works, against people, they can, you can say, call it accident. Yes, it is accident. How to handle that? That's another point. First requirement is medical provision, and before that is first aid. If first aid works, we have to take care of both. We have to shift these peoples to medical requirement, medical provisions, medical support, and then after that, when all people affected are in hospital, go to hospital or admitted, then you can say, of course, you have to write something, you have to compile something. So reporting is done to police, to our officers in hospital, and in police, the hospital, and also your own company, organization. No reporting can be concealed, no incident can be concealed, and if you conceal, it shall harm you. Be frank, accidents cannot be controlled absolutely, but can be minimized, and you must be a good professional to think that way. I think every engineer who visits site for purpose of examination, for purpose of inspections, should have courage to speak truth. Should have. And that truth is, we will tell others this has happened and we will investigate. And that investigation should be based on complete statements, not fake statement, true situation as far as possible. It can be imagined or it can be, you can say, extracted based on feedback. So that investigation is very important because result of that investigation helps in future for other projects so that you cannot repeat that accident, and if you can avoid that, you can say you learn lessons from that. Investigation is very important part. It's done by, you can say, safety officers who get input from site people, and also so that investigation part is very important. Apart from providing aid to people, medical aid, providing against hospital treatment, and whatever else to reinstate lost. Is very important among them. They should feel secured on site all time. And if they don't feel secured, you can't expect them to give production output that's required because lack of confidence will keep them nervous all time, hesitant all time, and that should not happen. Investigation should be based on facts, and even if there is something wrong, it should be brought to attention of those who will look after into that. So incident reporting, investigations are very important points. Documentation and resources. All documents we do, all resources we have, we should have all support system so that documents are documented, or you can say data is documented, data which was proposed and data which happened. We can say likewise, you can also write, post work report if you wish. It's not necessary otherwise because we give progress reports, means we can say successful completion of this statement, this method statement, with this variation or no variation. So that document is very important for learning purpose, for reporting purpose. And what resources we planned, do we use them, did we use them, that must also be considered. So resources are involved everywhere in all these acts. Without resources, nothing can move. Then of course program monitoring and surveillance. Program monitoring and surveillance, well, I think this is very significant part of projects, that what you programmed, what you planned, what you schemed out, what you chatted out. And did you monitor? That's the question. Yes, it has to be monitored. Who monitors? First you have to monitor because you are doing that. And there will be some other designations, some other divisions. You can say like planning division, safety division, or you can say quality division, or maybe someone else if you think it's possible. Then you have to monitor what was done, how was done, what was time effect, what was planned, where was variation, because time is also very important. Surveillance means it's not that we are police. No, it's not that. Surveillance doesn't mean that we are police or CCTV. It's only that we have to make sure that people don't play with activities. People should not play with safety methods. People should not play with you can say that act that something can spoil your quality system. It's very important. We have to understand. So it's only a few points I can say we have gone through. Leadership in administration. Everybody is leader, I should say again. Everyone is leader, but particular leader is responsible. Everyone is leader responsible for its own act, but total leadership goes to that person who administers project. And management training, yes, training is important, but it must be specific. It must be specific because management is qualified indeed, administration is qualified, but that qualified is general. It should be oriented. It should be project oriented. It should be work oriented. And scope of work tells that what you have to do. In fact, if you go through good contract documents, which are really professional, which tell everything about contract and which tell everything about specifications, which tell everything what you have to do. Of course, it takes some time because specifications are vast, contract conditions are vast, and time is not vast. You have to start project, and you have to start project according to documentation, according to requirement. So, even if you can say self-training, not necessary that somebody should come and tell you do this, not necessary that. It should be self-training if you can do. That's most important because maybe you're not sure about whole project. But if you go through complete documents like drawings, like specifications, like contract conditions, of course specifications take a lot of time. But at least contract you should know what is contract, what is scope of work, who would be your people, means who shall be helping you, what machines you will require, how many subcontracts you will have, what sort of engineer it is. Reviewing that, understanding that also takes time. So management training is not a formal lecture. No, it's not a formal lecture. It is step by step understanding of requirements. And once requirements are known and you know how to fulfill those requirements, it's also a part of training, study on site. Study of project is also a kind of training, and if you're not clear about that, of course, you have to refer to those who designed that, who designed not only drawings or structure, but who designed complete methods of contract. What documents are there? If you are a leader, you are a educated engineer, it should not be difficult for you to get it. Project health and safety rules, same way. Rules are your own made, nobody made for you. And then health control program, we discussed a lot. There is no way to avoid it. From time to time, we have to take its care. And personal protective equipment, very well known, everybody knows. Nothing in even that. The two types, general and particular. Depending on work, depending on activity, PPEs are required. but some PPs are very common which can't be removed, like hard hat, safety shoes, or you can say overalls, coveralls, eye safety. Likewise, this cannot be removed. This cannot be. You can say you cannot go to site work in trousers or in shirt or in kurta pajama. It's not permitted. So there are standards, there are programs, there are controls. Health control, work control, dress control, activity control, ethic control, environment control. Then communications and meetings. Communication is root part of inter-exchange of information, and by communication even those who are not able to understand contract, they can be made understood. They can be made understand all things. Communication is very clear. It should be. It should not be ambiguous. It should be clear speech, and if it is in writing, it must be clearly written, pointedly written. We cannot make books of this, but information must be provided. That's a requirement, and also if they are already written, we must refer to. And meetings, interactions can be done. If there exists some purchase controls, materials, organization, work equipment management, etc. This purchase control is very, very significant part, because though it's not related to safety directly, but it relates to project safety. Projects organization means procurement of material, procurement of equipment, purchase controls, you can say. You cannot simply keep in mind always money. If you keep in mind of money, then you cannot do project. Money is considerable part. It should be considered, but it cannot be exclusively considered, because you have target, you have contract completion date, and you have to fulfill quality requirement, and time is also a factor which counts on quality. You cannot complete a work of 24 hours in 1 hour. You cannot you can say complete a work of 3 days in 1 day. These cannot be accepted, because practically it's not going to work. So what to do? Means we have to think of this. Means we have time limit, we have activity time measurement, and we have equipment with us. We have to properly use them. Yes, there can be variation of 5 to 10% in timings, no problem, but quality is more important than timing. Quality is more important than what we do or what we understand so to do. It's a very important part. It can impact project completion. It can impact on quality itself. If you don't value time, you can't give quality absolutely. So we have to be very much concerned about this. All comes under controls of contract, work equipment controls, and likewise all impact on quality and safety. So I think we can understand this very well. Now we go to leadership. We can say some leadership, organization, administration. We can say that it is policy and commitment. We have to fill this, but I'm not going to fill that, just to better to understand policy and commitment. What is that? In that, is there a health and safety policy statement specific to project scope of work that we have to check? Then, is there general policy statement dated and signed by seniors, by leaders? You can say Does general policy statement make reference to what? Reference to personal injury, prevention of personal injury, prevention of illness, protection of property, prevention of fire, protection of environment. These are principal factor. I have to say, first was is first was leadership. You can say it was there. It was policy and commitment. Is there some policy? Question is that policy on safety and health statement. What is the statement of policy? We may say of safety first. Zero accident against that. But is that right? Does it happen? That is part of leadership, organization, administration, and this is policy and commitment. Then is general policy statement dated and signed by senior executives, leaders or managers in charge of site operations? Does general policy statement make reference to what? Prevention of personal injury. Means, is there a statement how to prevent injury to person? Prevention of illness, protection of property, and prevention of fire, protection of environment. And then we come to how is general policy. In this personal injury is very simple. Means statement is required, but even if it's not there, everybody has to take care. Prevention of illness means you have to keep everything healthy, site tidy, accommodation tidy, good environment, food, good health only can be built that, and rest hours. So illness can be checked in. Then protection of property. Whatever property is there, that should be protected indeed, or else you have to pay. Then prevention of fire, that's also a very important part. It's not easy, but it has to be made easy. Protection of environment. These points are required to have general policy statements. And how is general policy communicated to employees? How it is complete. The employees should know actually whatever has to happen. Boards, even then it should be clear, and that is by communication only. And what is that communication? That communication should go to every employee, every personnel, and that is through, you can say, use of notice boards, use of induction. Induction means everybody should be explained what policy stands for. So notice boards directly postable on notice board. Induction can be instant, can be just for a few minutes, seconds, or planned. Then rule books. Well, rule books just certain precautionary measure actually rule book, and what you have to follow. In safety, you have to be defensive all time. Again, it's very big term, defensive, not offensive. Safety requires defensive work that should not harm someone. But if you say that you have to be offensive, then you can't be safe. Offense cannot bring you to safety. You have to bring it yourself there. So it's rule books, it's kind of direction, what you have to do, what you have not to do. So automatically that becomes a part of safety, security. So you can say our health and safety manuals, they are available in companies. Those manuals give very little information but concrete information. It's called concrete information. And there is health and safety manuals, as I said, general provisions given in that, what we have to do, what we have not to do. what's happening on the site, what happened there. We should know through official channel and not through elsewhere. So health and safety manuals and safety bulletins are there. Bulletins tell what's update on safety. That's very important. Then we can say what means do senior executives of company demonstrate their commitment to health safety or safety health and loss control program. You can say quarterly visit to site. Depends, means quarterly visit or half yearly visit or weekly visit. All are conducted depending on scope or required or level of scope, you can say. You can say this is called control program. You can say by what means to senior executives of company demonstrate their commitment to health or safety and loss control program. Quarterly visit to site, you can say, maybe health safety, and you can say LC briefing. The LC, you can say you may say this quarterly visit to site, safety, health and loss control. Loss control, if you can do that, it's amenable, it's acceptable, it's fine. Loss control briefings. Quarterly health, safety and loss control tours, written reviews, comments and bulletins, personalized memos to staff and workforce. You may say it's a kind of practical interaction with people just to see what's happening on site, which can be witnessed, which can be observed, which can be studied during quarterly visits to site, how to control safety and how to control losses. Because sometimes text cannot solve, site visits can solve problems. We can interact with those who are working on site at that time. Work interaction can be done practically in their own language. Maybe their language not your language, it's not like that, but communication of points important always. You can say written reviews, comments and bulletins. Can be, right? Problem lies only in script language. If script language is given in workers' own language, that would help, but still there's doubt on that. Written reviews must, comments must be received, and bulletins must be referred to. Personalized memos to staff and workforce about successful safety you did or failure in safety you did, and what you want those staff to remember. Written standards being established for senior and middle level activities, middle management organization activities. We said we have to review what we planned for and what we set for. We have to review targets we achieved or not achieved. Quarterly safety and health briefings with all employees. Attendance at formal inquiries. Attendance at formal inquiries and personal involvement in promotional activities. On these sub-issues, subtopics, is there, question is there some written standard for these activities, which are called senior and middle management activities: safety, health, and loss control inspections, program review and target setting, quarterly safety and health briefings with all employees, and attendance at formal inquiries, personal involvement in promotional activities. Individual responsibilities, you can say, are health, safety, and loss control responsibilities and activities clearly stated in job descriptions for managing organizers or managers and supervisors on project. Job description. Very important point, though it's very common these days, but it should not be common in writing. It should be specific and unlimited. Specific and unlimited. Unlimited in the sense, whatever we describe on job, there should be additional items also, which may be unknown. So, are SHE and LC responsible and activities clearly stated in job descriptions for managers and survivors on this project? Are staff provided with a copy of their job description? It's a practical question. If you want someone to remember job description, you have to provide that person a copy, and that person can do at least that one, and of course can do more. That person is smart one, and who can see future. I am committed. I will do this and more than this. That's what is expected of from efficient people, efficient engineers. Are staff appraised on their performance with regard to health and safety? Are staff appraised on their performance with regard to safety and health? Has site leader been named as person responsible for safety on site? Site managers' names must be clear. Have sufficient safety supervisors been appointed to adequately supervise operations? It's very common. Then let's go to health and safety assistance. Has a qualified safety and health professional been appointed to project? If it's a vast project, it's a requirement. Or on a small, maybe it's not regular, it's not dedicated. It may be times, hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on how many people you find sick every day. It happens. You can't avoid that. Then you can say, does health and safety or safety and health professional reports to whom? Site leader or higher, deputy site leader or senior engineer or someone else? Because they may be counterparts in safety as well. Then, does health and safety professionals receive adequate support from corporate managers or his assistants or managers on site? And what percentage of normal time is dedicated to SHE and loss control duties? Well, 100 to 50% or less. It depends, because safety management of complaints. Complaints. It's a very important part actually. Management of complaints means, is there a procedure, written procedure for processing complaints or suggestions? Well, it should be everywhere, but practically some people want to avoid this. Though it's not going to harm anyone, it doesn't harm someone, but even then, people want to show clean of their performances, and that's doubtful. Is there a written procedure is under management of companies complaints? Sorry, is there available a written procedure for processing complaints, suggestions, reading regarding health, safety, and environment matters? From statutory authorities, is there requirement? It's an important one if there. You have to report to the authorities from time to time. From client, from you can say, when I said from statutory authorities, when I say from client, I say from third party, and say from employee. All can write procedures, but main procedure is important from contractor or from those who are responsible, like the engineer act, like you can say employee. Everybody you have to write to them. Third party can raise questions, you have to write to them, and your questions can be raised. Safety plan, project health and safety plan. Has a health and safety plan been produced clearly, setting out standards of activity that organizers, managers, engineers, and supervisors are required to achieve in order for joint venture to achieve project health and loss control objectives? That is project health and safety plan. That is general, and that is about, has a health or safety plan been produced clearly, setting out standards of activity that organizing managers, engineers, and supervisors would be required to achieve in order for joint venture to achieve project health and loss control. Does plan contain following elements? Attendance at health and safety briefings. Does plan contain following elements? Attendance at health and safety. I'll, I'll be back after a few minutes. Meanwhile, you can read these points because I had to go upstairs for a couple of minutes and come back before. Maybe I can repeat again this talk. Say, does plan contain following elements? Attendance at health and safety briefings, conducting toolbox talk, monitoring inspections, risk assessments and method statement, job observation, communication, promotion, hazard and incident management organization, When I say organization, it's not written, but it should be organization. Continuing professional development, health and safety course attendance. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, I think you can just think on this, what we have to talk about this. Because in safety, talking is also very important, without which we can stand nowhere. And I will be back. Please give me a few minutes and we'll talk again. Sorry gentlemen, little late I am. So what do you have to say about this? I think it's more than